Deadpool. The little superhero movie that could. It's basically a film that only exists strictly because of Ryan Reynolds, so big shouts to R² for standing behind this thing with full devotion. The saga of the creation of this film began with Reynolds' single-scene portrayal of Wade Wilson in the not-so-great 2009 film X-Men Origins Wolverine, which ultimately became the only true high point of that film. And audiences got all the more upset as we got to see this fantastic, show-stealing character who Ryan Reynolds had down pat from the get-go, who had very limited screen time turned into... yeah, it was basically Baraka from Mortal Kombat with his mouth sewn up. I don't think Marvel fans love talking about that since Marvel was essentially trolling us by giving us a silver lining to a pretty bad film and then taking that silver lining and using it to clean up the rest stop toilets in Jersey. The merc with the mouth and taking away his ability to talk. Smooth. Whoever had the final say in this decision either A, didn't know shit about these characters or the comics that they came from, or B, they were purposely shitting on the fans, donning the mindset of, you're gonna go see it anyway, who cares if it's shit, we got your money! Either one, it doesn't matter anymore, because with the actual release of Deadpool, that's pretty much ancient history. So after Origins, the fate of the X-Men franchise was pretty uncertain, and the fate of Mr. Poole was all the same, considering his character was completely ruined by the time the credits rolled of that film. That didn't stop those crazy, silly fans, though. It turns out that people really went nuts over Reynolds in that role, and he was very hungry to reprise it, desperately aching for a solo film that could be crafted with care instead of that. Then in 2012, we got some really badass test footage leaked online, and while it wasn't entirely certain for a long time, finally at the end of 2014 the script was complete, and Reynolds was confirmed, and they started bringing in cast members, and shooting finally began around this time last year. It's also worthy to note that during the first half of the current decade, Deadpool became a goddamn Marvel icon, the same level as Wolverine and Spider-Man, and I can't explain it. I guess it's just the appeal of the character, or maybe he got some amazing arcs in the comics. I don't know, I don't read Marvel, so I couldn't say. I've just never seen a comic book character blow up this huge, this quick, without a single true film to their name. And yeah, it's weird and confusing to me, but credit where it's due, that is pretty damn impressive. So that leads me to the film itself, which came out February 12th, and I saw shortly after because I can generally only deal with like massive crowds if it's something that I need to see the day it opens, and frankly, yeah, I like the character Deadpool. He's cool, and I'm all for supporting R-rated blockbusters and Ryan Reynolds' career while we're at it, but I was able to contain myself for a few days, and holy shit, this movie was a big deal. I mean, just look at those Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb scores. Jeez. As I make this video, we're in the middle of the week of what will be its third weekend, and it's already raked in over $230 million, and that's just domestic. This beast has already made twice that worldwide, so without question, it's a certified smash. But there's something very important that only time and experience has taught me, and that's that just because something is massively popular, and just because it makes a lot of money, does not by proxy mean that it is good. Bitch, please! Deadpool is not a bad film at all, and I would recommend it to just about anyone who enjoys a hilarious and creatively violent good time. It is a very entertaining movie, but what's really bothering me is that at least right now it seems to be really popular and really bandwagony to call this movie the superhero game changer, which is something I think is not entirely correct. I guess you could say it's a game changer in the sense that it isn't at all hard for me to imagine a near future where every other superhero flick is rated R and they start lowballing on the comedy as a futile attempt to emulate this film, but what I'm really dreading is that the possibility that breaking the fourth wall will become a thing. Ugh. Marvel, Fox, other movie studios, everybody, please leave well enough alone and just leave it with Deadpool. That's his thing. It has been for a while, and he fucking owns it. Not literally owns it, like there's no trademark or anything, but he owns it like I own this glorious white guy fro. However, my grievances are more directed at the idea that the movie itself is a game changer for either superhero flicks or action flicks as a whole. And whether you've seen the film or not, spoilers, it's not. I see this film as basically having two sides to it. There's the awesome Deadpool side, which dominates the trailers and spends the first 20 or so minutes of the film with us, and it brings it home in the third act. Right from the opening, it's evident that there is so much creative writing and choreography at play here. It's wonderful. The gunshot count thing made me think a little bit of Archer, but they really did a great play on it here, and that was really refreshing and very entertaining. And then something awful happens. Deadpool turns to the audience, as he does, and presents us with his first burst of non-inspiration, the introduction of his origin story. And that's where we spend half of the movie. Again, credit where it's due, all of the acting in these sequences ace. The comedy holds, and the chemistry between Ryan Reynolds and Marina is actually pretty damn good and fairly believable, but that's not the issue. The issue is that this fairly large chunk of the movie did not need to exist in my mind. If Tim Miller and his writers felt absolutely obligated to show his origin story, which, yes, I understand they feel the need to intro the character and his motivations for the uninitiated, but they really could have and should have slimmed this half of the movie down to less than half of its size and breezed right on through it. If they had done this, I wouldn't have been sitting in my theater like... Again, it's not that any of these bits are particularly horrible, they just aren't particularly interesting or very inspired or fresh at all. I mean, how many times have we seen weird human experiments performed for the sake of creating super soldiers, and it really blows that this movie basically did a variation of the liar reveal trope, which is one of the fucking laziest fallbacks that any narrative can take. This whole half of the movie just did not do it for me, and the whole time I just kept thinking, okay, Deadpool, let's wrap this up, and we can get back to that freeway, right? Let's get back to the freeway. Unfortunately, however, things are brought home in the finale, but the point is, a movie that has claims this hefty needs to stay harder than rock solid throughout its entire runtime. I do, however, feel that the film excels ridiculously at three things. 1. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. 2. Knowing what the fans want. And 3. Being funny as hell. I mean, just the way Deadpool says the name of the cabbie, Dopender, cracked me up every time. It was just so funny. 2 smaller victories, which go hand in hand, is that its smaller budget demanded a smaller story. So they circled around Deadpool's vanity and his relationship, which I thought was a fantastic move, so it thankfully averted that tired-ass trope of spending the entire third act doing a villain chase that destroys half of a major American city. Ugh. Also, Megasonic Teenage Warhead has an awesome name, and she was a pretty cool character. Plus, how awesome was it to finally see a true X-Men uniform? Thanks. About damn time. Speaking of about damn time, they finally fucking got Colossus right. He was classy, and he was Russian, and it ruled. Good work, Tim Miller and co. Finally, the villains. Like most Marvel films, were forgettable almost completely. Gina Carano was pretty cool as like the hench chick, but overall, neither her nor Ed Skrein really lit my world on fire. To be honest, I'm mostly just fatigued over the past 8 years from all these big comic book movies, and I'm ready for it to either end or do something completely different. And that's the true sham of Deadpool. This movie could have and should have been a true game changer. The more and more I mull it over in my head, I just think, how can a film that takes so much pride in lambasting the current superhero climate and pokes so much fun at all of its cliches yet abides strictly to them? This film desperately needed to rise above those cliches, and it has flashes of doing this, but overall it didn't. And I feel like it really could have, and its lead character is practically tailor-made to do some major trope-defying in its storytelling. And yeah, it's surprising, refreshing, and awesome for a film under the Marvel banner, though it was distributed via 20th Century Fox, to have this much swearing and violence in it, but that doesn't automatically make it a masterpiece. Unfortunately, the weight of a missed opportunity really keeps me from loving this one. I think it was solid, a good starting off point. There was a very talented and dedicated team at work here. They had their hearts in it, and they clearly know what the fans want. But who's to say they can't give the fans what they want and innovate by shattering superhero expectations all in one go? I feel like the opportunity was just too loud to ignore. Hopefully, we'll get something like that in Deadpool 2. And I really dug this as a bit, but please, in Deadpool 2, give us a big scene where Deadpool finally remembers his Hello Kitty bag of ammo. Please. Thanks for watching, guys.